Alrighty folks, welcome back to another video from Yates Computers Tips and Reviews. This is one that probably a lot of people will see a lot of postings before it comes available. This is not really something I would recommend or say is legal in any way, shape, or form. But I know probably a lot of people are going to do this. A lot of people are probably doing this now because I've seen things online that I've questioned from the get-go because I have those systems and I've used those systems, or I have work-related things that use those systems that do not support this. And I've seen it advertised, videos of it, and this is installing Windows 11 pretty much on any computer. And if you're the newer generation, the younger generation, you think you know it all, you think you know all of this, this is best practice. This is procedures that had been done for a long time that will allow this to happen. No cracks, no third-party software, none of this other BS that's out there on how to get it to run. There are some limitations and there are some problems by doing this. But most people probably won't care. If you're at an advanced knowledge and an advanced tech level to do this, you really ain't going to care. So, I want to start out by mentioning everybody head on over, hit the subscribe, hit the bell, get the updates. This video is about Windows 11 on any PC. Now, I did not go out to figure out if this would work. Let me start out by that. This was not something that I went out to do. This is something that I stumbled across. And I thought, hey, this is really kind of convenient, kind of interesting, because there's a lot of videos out there where people have cracked Windows 11 with third-party software and done all kinds of stuff to see if Windows 11 will run on an older PC. It will run on an older PC. It seems to run fairly well. But due to security features that Microsoft wants to put forward to protect future generations and future tech, that is where this issue comes in involved. And everybody wants to get around it. Everybody wants to do their own way and be their own boss. No. All this stuff needs to stop. Because if you're doing this stuff, you are the one causing all the problems in the future. You're better off buying a new PC, buying stuff that supports the new security features, and buying the newer stuff. But if you want to play around and you want to do testing and you want to do some other things, this was really quite an interesting thing that I did not really quite think would work. I knew it would work because if you watch my VM series, I brought this exact fact up. When you install a VM on a Windows 10 machine, it runs VM Windows 11. So there's some little things there that might be some workarounds to what I'm talking about. But legality-wise, I don't care. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to teach anybody how to violate all of these rules and policies and all this other stuff. But as for troubleshooting and repair and other things, this might be an important factor. Everybody knows what all of these are behind me. Your drives. What is on your drives? That is all the information. Your OS, your BIOS is on the motherboard, not on the drive. All the chipsets and all the specialty chips, the BIOS boot chips, all those type of things it looks at are on your motherboard, not on your OS, not on your hard drive. In the old days, you used to set up a computer. If you're doing it in big businesses, you're doing it setting up a computer, you create an image of the OS and you put that image on the computers. Most of the manufacturers in the old days used to do the same thing. Some manufacturers are still doing it today. And I think I have videos on issues with that. I've had issues with that. And when you go in and you look at the certification or the key for Windows, you will see computers where they match. They're the same things because it's pushed out in an image. There's lots of reasons for that. You can do your research, do your homework. I don't think I have any videos on imaging because of the Windows certification license. You want to make sure you have your proper one on each computer. What you can do is you can push an image out and then update the security license. You might have an issue doing it with this way if you're on unsupported hardware. I'm sure everybody by now that has any kind of tech experience have already know where this is leading. You put this in a computer that supports Windows 11, load Windows 11, load your software, pull all your updates, pull all your patches, pull everything you need to, get it activated, take it out, put it on another computer, start the computer up. I was amazed. It actually did run. It ran. Of course, it's going to pull the new motherboard drivers. It's going to pull your new video card drivers. It's going to pull everything it needs to operate that system. That's one of the key differences from Windows 10 kind of up, is the operating system has a lot of the drivers. So it makes it easier to do this. In the old days, you would have a lot of problems doing that because it didn't have the drivers to function. And then you'd have to try to install drivers, and if you didn't have a NIC driver, you had to download them and you had to do a lot of stuff, and it just was a nightmare. This is where the newer technology gens kind of hurt themselves in one way. This was not my main goal, was to bypass and cheat Microsoft. What I had was a new modern drive that suddenly stopped working in another computer. It wasn't an NVMe, it was a SATA drive. It had a bay to put in a SATA drive. So what I did is I took that out, because same difference, just different port. Took that out, threw in a SATA drive, threw in the OS, did everything I needed to do, loaded in software, activated it, computer came up fine. Have a bench PC. That I do a lot of testing, data recovery, surface testing on drives to find out if the drive's good, bad, wiping the drives, doing, DOD wipes on the drives just to make sure they're clear. Of course, DOD wipes are not 100% secure, but it makes sure there's no extra data on there if we reuse that drive that might have a problem. Most of the time, once you reformat it and all that, you're good, but a DOD helps deep clean it out. Plus, I do sector scans after that. So that way, and surface scans. So you know if the drive is fully good so you can reuse it. If not, I have videos on how to open up the drives. Pull the discs out, smash them, drill them, melt them down, turn them into an art project. Do whatever you need to. So that way you know your data is totally unrecoverable. Most of that data is recoverable. You can go to data centers and other places that can retrieve that data by just having the disks. They don't need anything else. There's special units they can put those into and pull data. So that was kind of the interesting part of this. Finding out, wait a minute, I wanted to test the drive. Find out why the drive failed. Why the drive wasn't working no more. Why the BIOS stopped detecting the drive. The BIOS stopped detecting the drive. So my assumption was that drive failed. Why it actually stopped detecting, I don't know. Maybe the port went bad. Maybe there was a chip that went bad on the motherboard. Maybe now I got to look at those other factors. But the computer's running because it's not running off the M.2. It's running off of the SATA cable, SATA drive. And to me, that was the same difference. It's a SATA drive. Port ain't going to make a difference. Read speeds, write speeds aren't really going to make a difference. So, simple, easy fix. Threw that drive into my bench machine to see, with all the software I got on it, let's see if this can detect it and recover it. See if it's the partition that crashed. Let's see what's going on. Surprisingly, it came up and read it in the BIOS and started reading the drive. So, okay, well, maybe it's a boot sector or something of that sort. So I unplugged the SATA drive where I have my OS, all my software, my recovery software, all that stuff preloaded, and booted to the M.2 drive. Amazingly, it came up. Came up as Windows 11. Loaded in all the new drivers it needed, started up, had the different usernames and accounts, local. Everything was there. Everything works. I logged into all the different user accounts. It'll pull Windows security updates. It'll pull all those other type of updates. Except it will not give you the next generation of OS. It is 21.2 and it will not pull the 22. Because Microsoft has to release that to the computer. If it's not supported hardware, Microsoft will not release it to your computer. So the only option you have to do is to take that drive back out, put it in a computer that actually supports it. If you have one that is Windows 11, that you can put a secondary drive in, boot off of it, update it, or get the ISO or something else and update it in that other computer, or clean slate, reinstall all you need to on that drive, and then go back, put it in that computer. So it can be kind of a pain in the butt. But where this kind of is handy, and I don't know too many home labs or anything that might need this, is if you need to do testing in a environment that is not your primary environment. Loading specific software, new patches, vulnerability testing, any of that type of stuff would be great for this. Everyday use, probably not. I'm sure a lot of people are going to see this video and go, oh, I got it. Guess what? This is the way they used to do it in the old days. This used to be best practice. This is what they used to do in the old days. When you had a run of 300 computers, 400 computers, you'd push the image out. Or you'd image it to each drive and you'd put those in the computers. Same thing. It hasn't changed. But it's made it easier to change it from HP to a Dell machine because now you have all the drivers in your OS. So this is the basic video that I found that I thought is handy for anybody that does shop work, who works on computers, that does certain things, to find out just for you to test. I'm sure Windows 12 will probably be the same thing because it's going to mostly have the driver. It's going to have everything else. Maybe you want to test it. Play with Windows 12. Maybe this is testing environment type of information that you don't have to run out and buy a brand new computer with higher specs and higher stuff because they put something in there that you have to have. It might get around it the same way this did. Microsoft might actually see this video and go, we're going to stop that. So, I want to make sure you guys are aware. But this is what I found because I've seen so many videos out there about download this crack and run it against the ISO and it'll create your new ISO and then install, and then they have all kinds of problems. Again, now you're downloading software basically corrupting their ISO. You don't know what that software actually did to the OS. You might have serious problems. You might have serious backdoor issues. You might have serious security issues doing that. You could do this with a certified Microsoft ISO image, install software, whatever you need to in a test environment and know it's secure. So this was the importance of this video. I'm sure there's probably nobody at home use that should ever really do this. Probably most business uses won't do this. And again, I found it by actually troubleshooting hardware. Troubleshooting the actual hardware. Thinking it was this that failed, finding out it is now not this that failed. So it's either a BIOS configuration, Windows update, something of that sort that caused that not to work anymore. So that is kind of the importance to me to do this video, because if you're in the same situation I was in, I only have a computer that supports Windows 10, doesn't support going to Windows 11 for my bench machine to do a lot of things. And I don't need anything that supports Windows 11 right now, because most of the time it's doing virus scans, it's doing other things on drives, and it's checking other things, and it gets wiped out a lot. Gets reimaged, software reloaded to make sure it's clean and prepped. You run across something weird like this, and you think, oh, well, I can't really test that because it's Windows 11. It won't work on that computer because it's not Windows 11 rated. I'm going to tell you that ain't true. And you can see a lot of videos where people have loaded in cracked versions and other things and other ways, and Windows 11 will run on older, unsupported software, on hardware. So, wanting to make sure I did a video out there to let people know that, because this is a fact that I have physically done and seen. This isn't something that somebody told me about, oh, you can do this or you can do that. And this was actually done in an environment in front of me. Well, not really in front of me, by me. And it was scrutinized and tested and had other things run on it to see the cause and effect. So that was kind of the interesting part, and kind of one of the bigger problems is once I found it, I lost a lot of time, because then I had to verify what I was seeing and what was going on was accurate and was good. And this is one of the weird issues when you have these type of things. But for people to be aware of this, and it doesn't matter, you talking old spaghetti mechanical drive, M.2, SATA, spinning SATA drive, laptop drive, none of that matters, because the OS is the same across all these platforms, all these hardware platforms. It's all the same. It's all the same data on those drives. How fast and how many processes and all of those things are what vary on these drives. not what's on the drive. So, wanted to sum that up, bring that out, because I've seen a lot of crazy videos. Go in there and download this from this person and do this and do that and do this and do. You don't know what you're doing to that OS. And that's important for the next year's videos that I'm doing. The security. The security of it. Because now you are actually corrupting that OS. You are changing factors in there. You don't know what kind of damage you're doing. So that is a huge security thing. There's a whole, going to be doing security next year. So want to make sure people are aware of that. To be aware of the security factor. Running third-party software and other things to do things that you want to do that you really shouldn't be doing, you're running into security risks. When you can do it the old-fashioned way, and it seems to work fine. Thank you all so much for watching. Stick around for more videos.